This is my 1998 Mercedes-Benz S320. This is the short wheelbase version of the S-Class, and this has the inline 6-cylinder, which was rated at 228 horsepower and 232 foot-pounds of torque. And it's a good engine. It's a willing motor, but it does need a little bit extra power in a large, heavy car like this one. As you can see, the interior, despite being 25 years old, is actually in really nice shape. And the back seat looks like it was hardly ever sat in. The wood is nice. The leather's not cracked. The car did not sit out in the sun. It's really in nice shape as far as the interior goes, even though there are some things that don't work on it, which I'll go over just as a warning to anybody looking at these. It has the soft closed doors, and these cars also had dual pane windows, which I did point out in my first video. Makes it very quiet inside. Not something you're going to see these days on cars, but was a nicety that came with these all S-Classes back in this generation. This is a W140, so they made these from 91 to 98. This was the last year for this generation S-Class, and this is what some argue the best S-Class ever made. I'm not going to argue that point. That's subjective. I think it just depends on who you're talking to. But the interior is really in nice shape overall. The driver's side mirror does not work, unfortunately. Doesn't fold either, so that needs a motor. That's not a cheap part. Those, even aftermarket, are about $365 just for the part. The door lock on the driver's doors tends to stick also, so that you can't get in from the driver's door sometimes. That will require probably relatively expensive fix. This has 121,000 miles on it, and it does have it does keep the proper temperature. The time, it keeps perfect time, so the clock, even at 25 years old, works perfectly. This, on the HVAC, the fan button does not work. It goes down, but it doesn't go up. That, you can't just replace this button. Mercedes would tell you you have to replace this entire unit, and they probably at this point would tell you it's not even available, because the car is 25 years old and Mercedes stopped making parts for these cars a long time ago. So you'd have to go aftermarket for that. And it's just something to keep in mind when looking at an older car like this. The glove box doesn't open. Should, but it doesn't. This works, but the glove box doesn't open. So there's something there that's in need of repair. That probably wouldn't be too expensive because it's probably just a little plastic piece. But this car I bought online, and just based on pictures and 2 videos I asked the seller to make, and unfortunately they didn't highlight any of the problem areas with this car, and it might be my fault for not asking more questions. I should have known better. But it does have a power steering wheel that works. Telescopes also. I'll show you the motor. The tires are brand new, so that's not a problem. The motor runs well, but something that did bother me was here on top of the motor. This head in general bothers me. This shouldn't be raised up like this. The paint is cracked here, and it's cracked in the back. That shouldn't have happened either, although I guess some people would argue at 25 years old it's going to be like that. I don't know. I had a Mercedes before that was this year, and it didn't have those issues. So it doesn't act like a car that's been overheated, so that's good. But these are things that can be expensive fixes. The steering wheel, when you're going around a corner, doesn't want to correct itself. The wheel should come back to center automatically without you having to help it. It doesn't do that. You have to help it, so there's a problem. The one window, this has auto up and auto down windows, and the one window, when you use auto up, this one here, it worked that time, but normally it will stop and reverse like it hit something. So it's clicking now. I can hear it making a noise, but little things like that you notice when you test drive a car. So a word to the wise on these older cars: a lot of these parts are going to be aftermarket. When you take it to a Mercedes store, they're going to say they don't make the part anymore. Mercedes doesn't make the part. Aftermarket companies do, but they don't deal with aftermarket, they deal with Mercedes. And so you just have to be prepared for those things and look for service records. That's the big thing. The service records are super important on these. So let me know if you have any questions. Anybody looking at these cars online or privately, or wanting to buy an older Mercedes, I'm happy to point out a couple of things that I've run into if you have questions. And thank you for watching.